All right, cool. I'm gonna eat the cake too.
In front of the microphone. Yeah. You're a little laggy. You're a little laggy.
Am I?
That's okay. Yeah.
Let me see what Wi-Fi I'm on.
Well, that's like. I hear. That's what that sounded like. Like oh, there you go. Okay, now you're moving.
Something weird's going on here, mine.
I love how you, dude. That was like something out of a movie. You go, something weird's going on here, Mike, and then you stand up and just start moving shit around the room.
I need to check this. Scientist. I'm not totally sure that this is streaming right.
Okay. I'm gonna check out your stream. Oh. Oh yeah. Oh. Holy shit, dude, you're at 4K, almost at 4K? I didn't even realize that. That's crazy.
Yeah. We had some, I'm a porn star in Brazil.
No way?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Did they see your wiener?
Yeah, they saw it.
Not actually?
Yeah, some of them. Not all of Brazil, but some of them. I want them all to see it.
All of Brazil? How do you think that would have gone down as the president of Brazil? Just asking.
Maybe one of his loyal servants shows him.
Okay. And then what? Is he like, oh, that's nice? Or is he like, I expected it to be bigger? Or what does he say?
It's like, that's a pretty large curve for the length.
That thing's basically a boomerang. Alright, man. Sorry about today, dude. I literally was up for 36 hours. I was like, I did a 24-hour stint to get work done. I'm in the middle of doing this VR project and AR project for the HoloLens. And at the same time, I can't stop playing Call of Duty. And like, I'm just having a hard time falling asleep. So I was up for like an entire day. And then it was like midnight last night. And I was like, okay, like I'm going to go to bed. And then I just didn't. I was up till like 5 still because I couldn't. I knew I had to go to bed, but my body was like, I'm not tired anymore. Mm-hmm. You missed it. You missed your opportunity to go to sleep. And then I went to bed at like 5 a.m. and I slept until like 3 p.m. And then I slept more until like 6:21. Which is when and that's when my hair looks like this. And I have a beard now. And
when did you stop shaving?
1st of November.
Wow, that's comes in so much faster than my facial hair does.
I grew up my first mustache when I was like 16 or like 15, 16. You've seen me during every November I grow it out. And every Christmas I go home with a big bushy beard. My little sister. And she's always like, when I go home and I don't have it, she's like, how come you didn't put on your beard this time? I'm like, because it takes. I can't explain it to a child, so I just don't talk to her. Kidding. How have you been, man?
Hold on, I'm just gonna try and have a chat here. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the past 2 weeks have been fun.
Okay, very good.
That's so cool that yours is like an actual camera.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
One of those.
I love it, dude. Hold on, wait. Let me try to pull focus real quick. It's not going. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Wait. Wait. All right. I'm too close. I'm too close. All right. There we go. But yeah, man. Your last 2 weeks, what have you been up to? Seeing more family?
You have 2 squares that are following your eye around.
All right, we'll just ignore that. Pretend it's not there. Oh no! Is there a menu? Yeah, there's a menu. Very cool. I don't know how to switch it into manual focus mode. Oh yeah, there we go. Look at that. Nice.
Crispy.
No, crispy clean. Yeah, dude, but it's been great. You know, I've just been working out and going to the gym and right in my gym, taking my gym to work.
Can I see your feet to see how the workouts have been going?
Oh yeah. Don't even get me started. Ready?
Yep.
That's a size 12. If you've ever seen it.
Can you crack your toes so that I can see if the workouts have been good?
Yeah. I've been getting it in.
That's a special. That was a special moment that I'm dedicating to a couple people in my chat who only come out once in a while. If they're watching right now, they're gonna be really gracious, grateful.
Nice.
Grapefruit.
Okay. There's grapefruit. There's. Yeah. Off to a shaky start this time. Yeah, dude, but it's been good, man. You know, just staying out of politics. I definitely didn't share a video on gun control on my wall last night. So if you were wondering if I didn't, so don't even look
on Facebook.
Dude, when I'm at that 36-hour mark,
you start getting real political.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know how to describe it.
Dude, you need to. I really want to talk to you about that one article you shared one time that Ethan and I commented on, and then we called you about.
Well, just the one about Stephen Gerry and Big Tuna.
It was something about. Turns out the CNN is like liberal or something. It was like,
yeah. So there were actually like recorded calls of the president of CNN, and he was basically confirming the idea that like CNN is like all they care about is bashing Trump and impeachment and pushing impeachment rhetoric. And there was like and there was also a lot of like the article was basically about people at CNN who are like our age who are starting to work there and going like, you know, like we want to report on actual stories, but we keep getting told by the president of CNN to keep pushing impeachment. And so I just thought it was interesting because it's like, all right, well, I kind of knew that was the case, and then to hear it actually confirmed, that I wanted to share, you know, just with everybody, and I thought it was a good idea, and it was not a good idea. It was a terrible idea. My Facebook, all of my social media, besides my YouTube, I actually got 5 more subscribers, just not even posting anything. They just started coming.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I have a new video coming out soon for Call of Duty, and you know I know that you like video game content, so you'll obviously give it a watch.
I'm gonna put your YouTube thing in my chat right now in case anyone wants to.
Oh, okay, cool. I'd appreciate that. I don't want you to like, you know, I don't want to ride on the curtails of your career, of your amazing career.
Well, that's not really up to you anymore.
Okay. Yeah, you know. But yeah, dude, you know, just what it's really about is it's really about the children. It's really for the kids. And it's really about trying to get everybody out there and coming out and picking up a good book and reading a good book and, you know, showing everybody the magic of reading.
Speaking of the kids, YouTube made an update today.
Yeah.
Where you have to decide if your content is for kids or for not, or for adults.
That is a smart move. Because my content is not for kids.
Okay, I was gonna ask that.
I mean, no. My content is for kids. My content. Should I just see how long I can be like my content is for kids to the point where it's obviously not for kids? Just see how long I can keep lying to everybody. No. It's for kids. It's like you do a line of cocaine in this video, and then call somebody the N-word. It's really for the kids. It's really about everybody coming together and picking up a good book and learning the magic of reading.
All right, let's talk about the N-word of ageism.
Okay. Oh, dude, don't even get me started. Okay.
Are you gonna say it?
No, I'm not going to say the B word because I think the B word is ageist. I think it's a hate crime. When you say the B word, you enact speech that is violent and dangerous. And I think that if you were to call somebody a boomer, all right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go drop out of school, delete my channel, and live in a giant cave in Idaho. Outside of Boise, Idaho. How's that sound?
It's cold this time of year.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from the news media. But yeah, dude, I think it's a great idea. I love the idea that because we were talking about ageism last talk, and the idea that has now become a thing where it's people are like, okay, boomer. I think that's great because that wasn't a meme. That wasn't that strong of a meme 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I had that talk, and now look at where everything is. I mean, that was us, dude. Obviously, that'd be us.
We got people to wake up.
Dude, there's a bunch of sheeple out there, and they need to wake up. Is basically what it comes down to. And there's a lot of old, fat, Republican white people out there who need to wake up. Stupid, dumb boomers out there who just need to get old already and die. Stay woke, people, because these old people gotta go. You know what won't be a problem in the year 2020?
We're just gonna kill him. Dude, I love how of all of his jokes, that one went over the worst. And then he did it again. He waited and...
Do you understand the people that, dude, because he did that in, 2007. Edgy meme culture was not around then.
Mm-hmm.
He pretty much pioneered that in that moment, right? Because he's, literally up there, he's like, this isn't funny right now because nobody's watching this, and the year is 2007. But if I was to repeat that exact same line to another, no applause, right? There's actually one person that kind of laughs. Is if you actually listen to it. There's one person in the back when you said it the second time that laughs. And that person's a fucking genius. Because that person is probably performing brain surgeries in space under a quantum microscope. Right? That person is, and he goes, you know what won't be a problem in the year 2070? Elderly and disabled people. Because we're just gonna kill them. And then dead. Nothing. And he even laughs to himself and he's like, because we're just gonna kill him. And he knows that people like us who go and watch that and that kind of cringy shit would love that. I thought that's gotta be one of the best jokes I think I've ever heard in my life.
I mean, that whole performance was a really good joke.
Oh my god.
It was a really good joke.
Really good joke. Because he was right on the edge of he was kind of like Hunter, what is Hunter S. Thompson, right?
Yeah.
He was kind of on the edge of Hunter S. Thompson, who used to do what's it called? That type of gonzo journalism or whatever, where he basically said real stuff and fake stuff in the same stories, and that's basically what he was doing, but as a TED Talk. And I thought that was really funny. It's a shame it's a shame that his career went the way that it did.
Dude, that
things that he said. It's a really complicated. Like, I don't want to go into that, but my stance is it's a little bit of both sides. I think it's a little bit of Adult Swim and Tim Heidecker, and it's a little bit of Sam Hyde coming together and just not working together.
That made me very depressed when I first started when I some of his content, which was like last October or something. And like you showed it to me, obviously, and I was like, oh my god, like this is literally the funniest stuff on the internet. Like when you showed me the Eric Andre show, I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And then you showed me this dude, and I'm like, this is unreal. Like the skit where the wife breaks the table.
Oh
like,
my god,
dude!
Yeah. See, the thing is though, is that to learn that it came from a place of actual hatred is what pisses me off, or not hatred, the fact that it came from a place where he actually doesn't like these groups of people or whatever, or maybe he's against them, or maybe he's. I don't know. I think what it is, I don't know how to describe his political paradigm, but I think if it was a thing like Eric Andre, where Eric Andre just, he would do shit and then never try to talk about the politics of it, and he'd still have the ability to make a statement, like that is perfect. So I wish that Sam Hyde just never did that, and instead just
that's fair.
Made shit and then didn't answer for it. Because that's the best type of artist, is a person who makes stuff and just doesn't answer for it at all. Do we have any questions in chat?
Let me show you a couple of things we have in chat. We have I wanted to bring this up.
Is this the racist guy?
We had someone say, "It's not funny." After you did your boomer dialogue, your monologue.
I'm sorry.
And then Naomi said that's Bachurski's humor, and then they said, "Oh well, it's not good humor, but he's free to say what he wants."
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to actually offend anybody, but the reason I was saying that is because what I was saying was in poor taste, such poor taste. It's the Michael and I like that kind of humor a lot, where it's like, what is the most in poor taste thing I could say right now? Like the most inappropriate thing that could be said.
Do you ever wonder if we're gonna get, or maybe this isn't even a good thing to talk about myself, but do you ever wonder if you're gonna get less funny as time goes on?
God, I hope not. I hope. I sometimes I feel it already happening, and I'm like, oh God, not now.
Not now.
But I think you kind of just, there's a lot of people who just get more funny with age, is what I've realized. I think it's actually I think the people who try to stay relevant and funny, they get less funny. But look at a guy like Joey Diaz, right? Joey Diaz was literally a comic who bombed for fucking 7 years straight, and then just hit a point in his age where he realized, I'm Joey Diaz, I'm fucking old, and I'm not gonna have to ever answer to anybody anymore, and then he became funny. And I think what it is I've noticed that my friends, not really people who I was friends with in high school, but people who I know from high school, as time has gone on and they become more assured of who they are, they become more funny. And I think what it is that people tend to become funnier with age.
That's good.
I think it's when people try to when they're old and they try to stay relevant.
Yeah, I feel that.
It's become look at Stephen Colbert. It's he's an old guy now, and he's trying to just be politics, every day, the electoral college doesn't mean anything, and stuff like that.
I don't know anything about him.
I don't know anything about him anymore either, because he's not funny. He's old. He's a boomer. What can I say? Just a stupid, dumb boomer.
Dude, I wonder if that brief speech will be what if that is the equivalent of saying the N-word in 15 years? What if someone looks back and they're I can't believe he said that. That is so...
if that's the case, then in this same exact podcast, I have to say, like, I was joking, and I apologize, and I didn't mean that. I was just saying that because it was funny at the time.
No, it's not funny anymore. It was funny at the time, but obviously, like, it's a different
all
time
the people who it wouldn't be funny to by that point would be, you know. I'm sorry. That's fucked up. Dude, you want to? I mean, we could change the subject. There's been a lot of young people dying here at USC.
Yeah, dude. Should we touch on this one that is closer to our hearts?
Yeah, dude. I don't even know. Like, the article about it was just one.
I didn't even see it. Was it from USC?
Yeah, there's 9 students have died this semester.
From suicide?
No. One of them they just found in an apartment. The other one, like, one of them was hit by a car. One of them died from a drug overdose. John Lynch, unfortunately, committed suicide, which is brutal to hear.
Is that confirmed?
Yeah, it's been confirmed.
That's insane.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, that's crazy. It's like, I knew John, you knew John, right? Like, you had
Not
met
well.
John.
I only started messaging him on Facebook, like, this past month. That was it. And we talked, like, briefly, and he was telling me he's trying to go on SNL and stuff, and he just, like, doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember talking to him, probably like a month and a half ago, just running into him at SCA, and I think he used to have a bit of a drug problem, or
Mm-hmm.
I know he used to have a bit of a drug problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say that making it seem like, you know, he was like this drugged out, like, you know, crazy guy, because he was a really funny guy. He was hysterical. Like, I had talked to him, I had run into him at SCA, and it seemed like he had stopped doing that, and it seemed like he was, like, on the right track and grinding and starting to work hard. But, dude, like, he, that was just out of the blue for me. It's a lot like Ben Duma, too, at the same time, who committed suicide earlier this semester. It's just like these two people who you wouldn't... I mean, John had survived cancer. Like, John had beaten cancer.
No way.
Yeah, John had gotten cancer, and he'd beaten cancer.
When did he have cancer?
I think, as late as almost halfway through sophomore year or freshman year.
Wow.
He had beaten cancer.
That's insane.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, and the same with Duma. Like, Duma was an awesome guy to be around, and in the Navy, was killing it in the Navy. Like, there's two people you just wouldn't expect it to be, and what we start to realize is that, like, the people who actually say that they're sad and stuff like that, and that they're depressed, are never the people who actually go through it and do it. You know, those people are probably crying for help. Like, because these guys, maybe I had heard John make a joke about suicide once, but I think John most of the time, like, he would talk about taking Klonopins and stuff like that, and I think at a certain point he just, I think it was suicide by drug overdose is what happened. I don't really know. I can't.
That's what I heard as well.
Yeah, but why? You know, I think people who are at that point, they don't really have a why. They're confused to a point where they get stuck on something to a point where they, like, there is no why.
Right. Exactly.
Any other behavior, and everything's just meaningless.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened with those two guys. Is I don't, like, people are always asking why, and it's like, I don't think there's a why. I think that the reason that they did it is because they don't have a why.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's like, the why is what keeps you from committing suicide.
Right.
You know, it's like why do, like, you know, if I was to be suicidal, you know, I'd be like, why am I doing it? Oh, my little sister, my mother, you know, like, like, if I was to kill myself, what example would that set for my little sister? You know, growing up without a brother, like a brother who had committed suicide that she never really knew. Like, what does that give her? Nothing. You know, and that was a big point for me, where I was kind of like, you know, like, this is she's one of the reasons I have to really give a shit. you know, and it's like for people, I just think once they lose that idea of why am I here, why am I doing this, is when they start to go, okay, like I guess I don't have any meaning in my life. It's all pointless, and then they
yeah.
Yeah. But I think too, it's like with that suicide stuff, I think it's like people aren't really cognizant that everything ends. Like they don't think that like there's definitely going to be times in your life that are meaningless and pointless, and you feel that way. But there's also going to be times where it's like exactly the opposite. And I understand what clinical depression is, and manic depressiveness is, borderline personality, bipolar disorder is, and stuff like that. And that's a whole different animal. But I think if sometimes what you have to do is you just have to wait, and then it stops.
So
that's my experience with
Taylor Zachary asked, "What is causing so much stress in 20-year-olds?" And I think you kind of answered that, because like it's not actually the stress.
Yeah.
It's the fact that like we're at a point in society where like as a kid, I mean, we have time to like think and look around. Mm-hmm. We also don't have like fully developed brains, so we can jump to conclusions that might not be like, you know, perfect. But we just like, if you think about it, and like it's just really easy to arrive at the fact that everything like, just doesn't mean anything, and
it's super easy to arrive at that. Yeah. But the thing is like, that's because people when they look for meaning, they look for a particular answer. They're like, I need to find what the essence of life is, and that doesn't exist. That's not a real thing. But like the purpose of life is to live in the present moment and do the right thing in the present moment and be present because the only thing that you really have in life is your free will and you're in that present moment of life. And that's all you really actually have. And so like, I think for young people at a place like USC where there's a huge party culture, you got a D1 football team, you have a lot of different types of cliques of partying and drug use. A lot of people have a lot of disposable income that they spend on going out or buying drugs. And then you also have a rigorous academic schedule that puts a lot of stress on them. They could be malnourished, using drugs, under a lot of academic duress, and also going at the same time, they listen to people like Elon Musk who are like, I don't hire people for a degree is meaningless, and they start to go, why the fuck am I here? Like if I'm smart enough to get here, that means that I'm smart enough to not be here as well. And so if that's the case, and you're dealing with these people who are dealing with different types of technology or different types of fields that are at such a high level, and then also pairing that with like the stress of the pressures of academics and the drug use and stuff like that, I think if it's not managed properly and they're not cognizant of what they're doing, it can be an incredibly slippery slope. And I think there's a lot of people who get here to USC and leave USC in a worse state than they got here in, because they start to go, okay, like I used to think that I was really, really special and really, really gifted, and now I'm surrounded by 3,999 other people who are the same way that I am. And then they start to go, it's USC, everybody's smart. What's the point? Why am I doing this? And then they're just stressed out, and maybe they're not eating properly, using drugs, and it's just a slippery slope. And it's like to also too, there was that one study that came out that said like students in high school now have the same level of anxiety as like people who were put in insane asylums in the 1940s and 50s. Like
yeah,
like the bandwidth of information communicated to a young person in and of itself is enough to produce much more anxiety regardless of the workload. Like that's one thing is like people don't understand. You have the world at your fingertips. You have a ton of information at your fingertips. It's like, dude, that's not always a good thing. Like if you have too much information coming in and streaming into you and too much for you, it's almost meaningless. And it's like there's
that
it becomes you know?
I think that you kind of
cut out there. You're kind of cutting out a bit.
oh, sorry, my internet's doing weird things right now. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, no, I can hear
Okay. Dude, I have this my OBS like here. Let me just pull this in here so people can see this. There's this red square, and it goes from green to yellow, and then it goes down to like 0 kilobits per second, and I don't know what.
You have to set the setting to a constant bit rate. I was experiencing that because I've experienced that a lot too. It's you have to set it to a constant bit rate.
Let me check this out.
But you can't change that setting in the middle of a stream. You have to do it at the start of a stream. So when you go into, hold on. When you go, let me just figure out where this setting is, and I'll show you. Hold on. Yeah, so you want to go into output. You want to do advanced output. You want to have your control rate set to CBR, which is constant bit rate. And then you want to put it, I usually put it to 3,500 kilobytes per second, because that's what you can broadcast. That's what you can broadcast full HD at on the internet.
Let me just write this down real quick.
Yeah. We could go through it after this if you want.
So you said advanced and then...
Yeah, so output, advanced, set control rate to CBR, which is constant bit rate, and then you want to do 3,500 KBS or KPS.
Okay.
But it's like, again, like look at what Michael and I just did. It's like we exist in a world of information where like we have to know these types of things. There's a lot more information to know. There's a lot more information to be exposed to, and you have to start to differentiate what has meaning to you and what doesn't have meaning to you in terms of information. And that, for a young person who has a developing brain in an environment that's incredibly stressful, much more stressful than it was, you know, in the 80s or 90s. And that's because they're expected to do more work because they have all this information at their disposal. To go through all of that information and interpret all of that is just in and of itself incredibly stressful. And it's like, you have we had to go to a library. It's like, that's much easier than going a countless amount of information on a subject, and then going, okay, well, I've even though I've seen all of this information, I've scanned of it that is mostly meaningless. Like, there's a super huge expanse of ethnography that like I think a lot of older people who go like, oh, what are 20-year-olds so stressed about? They're not cognizant of the pending. I don't know. It's like an immunography. Still up?
Hold on. Sorry,